Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. So astute listeners and followers and viewers will have noticed that we have two extra guests on the show today. Of course, as always, I have my wonderful co-host, Kate. Hey, Kate, how are you?
Hello.
Hello. And today we're super excited to interview Jen Breeze and Julie Piccone, who are CCA students and who have started to work together at an agency, which there's all kinds of fun stuff to unpack in that. And I think this is going to be a great discussion. So hello, ladies. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure, entirely our pleasure. So before we dig into the agency, which I know a lot of people are going to be really interested in hearing about what it's like to work for an agency, how you got work with an agency, let's talk about what brought you to copywriting in general. And maybe only because on my screen, Jen, you're on the left, Julie, you're on the right. So we'll go left to right for me. But just so you know, no talking over each other, or because I'm sure I will do that. But Jen, what brought you to copywriting? How'd you get started with it?
Great question. So I was a public school teacher for 19 years and was really reaching a burnout point and wanting to get out of that field. And, long story short, when the pandemic came, I had been in a part-time position, and so they furloughed me during the pandemic. And I was like, okay, well, I can't just sit and take unemployment forever. Like, I'm going to do something with this opportunity of, time off. And I have always loved writing. I've always been told you should be a writer. But I couldn't figure out what book to write, I didn't know like there was other ways to make money as a writer, but I started that's exactly what I Googled, like, how do I make money as a writer? Because I wanted to contribute to my family. And that's when I discovered copywriting and did a little bit more searching and looked at different ways to get trained and found the CCA and was totally sold. Like, this is it. This is what I need to do. And so like in June, I think I signed up, May or June. And by July, I had landed my first client. And by August, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this everything I have. And the rest is history.
And that was in 2020, right? July,
yes.
2020. That's insane.
That's
yes.
amazing.
And so it's September of 21 now. So it's been a little over a year that I've been freelancing, and it's awesome because I'm making more money than I could as a full-time teacher.
That's amazing.
And I work part-time.
Just what I was about to ask. So smart.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Awesome. Julie, how about you? What brought you to copywriting?
Yeah, so similar story to Jen's and probably a lot of other students in the CCA. I've always loved to write. I've got a business degree, but after university I explored a bit of journalism. I did some articles for my local newspaper. Didn't fancy that. I similar to Jen, I didn't want to write a book, or I didn't know what to write about. So I transitioned into research. So I'm a health services research. So copywriting is my side job at the moment. But so doing that health services research, I've always liked the writing bit of it as well. And then fast forward to the pandemic, and I came across a Facebook ad, Nicki, and thought, ooh, copywriting's a thing. I hadn't even ever heard of it. And just thought, I can make a career as a writer, have a second career as a writer. So did the training, watched that amazing testimonial video that you did with Erin, which just completely blew me away, and dove in, and just spent that first couple of nights just immersing myself in the Facebook group and just soaking up the positivity and the success stories and just thinking, yeah, I'm in the right place.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And so you guys are both working together, how does it work? You guys are working together at an agency. Are you working truly together, or do you both work at this agency on separate projects?
So we're starting to work more together. So we both, the way the agency works is that they assign each of us a client, and we're primarily writing Facebook ads for these clients. But the really cool thing now that they've implemented in terms of the processes is that we get to review each other's ads. So I'll write one and then tag Jen and say, well, today I struggled with one. I was like, this just wasn't coming naturally. So tagged her, wrote a little comment that said I was struggling, and then she reviewed it and provided some amazing suggestions. And so it's a bit back and forth.
Oh, that's so great. What a great opportunity to collaborate. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been super cool because and the amazing thing about the CCA is like that's how I got into this agency. Was there was another student who was leaving this agency and said, this is a great job, anybody want it? And so through that network, through being a part of that Facebook group, I was able to get my foot in the door at the agency. And Julie, is that the same for you too? Was it somebody in the group that? And so, at first we were kind of like, we were on the agency's team, but we were doing totally separate projects. But then they're like, you guys are really awesome and you're nailing all your deadlines and we need help. Like, can you guys review each other's work? So anytime I finish a set of ads, I'll tag Julie in our Asana board and she goes in and gives me great suggestions as well. So they definitely are, seeing the value of our work and appreciate us and have given us the, their confidence is high enough that we're able to now review each other's. Like it's not the head copywriter that has to do it all now.
That's fantastic. So what was the interview process as you were because I know that a lot of people think of agencies as this like mystical, strange and hard to understand kind of company. But so when you how did it go from applying for the work to actually them saying, yes, absolutely, we love you, we want to work with you?
So I don't know if it was different for Jen because we haven't actually spoken about this together. But first off, can I just say thank you to the copywriter who posted the opportunity in the group because she didn't need to do it and it was fantastic that she did. So thank you. So in terms of interview process, so I replied to the copywriter in the group. She put a post and I'd commented below. But there was quite a few different comments on that post. So I thought I don't want to get lost. So I emailed her separately. I don't know, I'm sure we'll chime in there. Emailed her separately. And then a couple of weeks later, I had an email from the agency saying, your details have been passed on. We'd love to set up a time to chat with you. And so they did. And it was just a half an hour chat. It wasn't really an interview, really. It was like a chat with the owner of the company. And we talked about, I remember feeling really connected with her, talking about charging for your services and how you charge if it's a friend. And the agency is, it's amazing. They're really promoting women-led mom businesses. So we kind of connected on that level because I've got two boys. So it didn't feel like an interview, this mythical, they're going to grill you and ask you this, this, and this. And then she just said, yeah, let's do it. So that was me. Don't know if yours was different, Jen?
A little bit. So yeah, I passed on my information through our connection, and then the agency contacted me and we set up an interview, and I talked with the CEO, and she was very, very kind, personable. Like there was nothing intimidating at all. It was just, we talked about my copywriting experience. We talked about being moms, because it is an agency focused on serving women and coaches who serve other women. It was more of like a values match that she and I both value the same thing. Families, parenting, supporting women, helping them to become rock stars in their business. And so that interview went really well. And she actually asked me to talk with her other, I think at that point she only had one copywriter on board. And that's now like the head copywriter, but I had a second interview with her. And we talked more strategy, more like about how I write ads, how to write good hooks. And, she was really excited to have a strong copywriter on the team to help her and strategize and plan. Like they were very much, they're open to our suggestions. They're they're not coming at us like, we have it all figured out and you will do as we say. It's more like, hey, what do you think of this? Should we do this? And it's super fun to work with the ads because it's just one little tiny part of the funnel. And so like, if my ads are like killing it, but they're still not getting the people enrolled in their program, then it's like, well, we've got to problem solve. Is there something wrong with the lead magnet? Is there something in the sales page that needs tweaked? And so the agency is branching out and starting to look at not just the ads, but how can we help them have a better sales page or a better landing page and improve the whole process in the funnel. So it's been really neat to like that they are growing and we're growing with them.
That's
really
nice. You'll be able to, you have all those skills to, if a lead magnet needs working on, if a sales page needs working on, right? I mean, that's the nice thing, I feel like, of knowing your background, at least Jen, and I'm sure Julie similarly, that you have that experience that as the agency grows, you're not just, ooh, I can only write Facebook ads, sorry.
Yeah.
So they've given us, like Jen said, the freedom. So I've reviewed a couple ads, but obviously when you're writing the ad, you're looking at the landing page and the lead magnet. And, you know, a couple of things I've just picked up, you know, I think one of the sales page had an option to go join the free Facebook group on the sales page. So I was able to just put a couple of comments in about that, saying, well, actually, no, you don't want that, to give them that option. You want them to just stay focused on your sales page. So, yeah. So it's really nice that we, like Jen said, our opinions are valued and we've got the freedom to kind of give our input and so hopefully make a difference. So it's cool.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So what is the process of how they give you the work? So did you meet with the client through the agency, or is the agency kind of that intermediary, as is often the case with agencies? How does that process work for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's the point where like, I was so glad they hired Julie at the same time as me, because we were able to like privately DM each other and we're like, well, what's going on? You know, those insecure moments. It was awesome to have another, you know, a colleague that I could come to when I was feeling uncertain about things, because yeah, I'm not a part of the creative brief process at all. But they've got really thorough Google Docs with all of, you know, their clients' goals, their customers' pain points, their, you know, just like all the things that we would ask in a creative brief are in these documents. So you've just got to be resourceful and go in there and dig it out and flesh it out. They have videos of their meetings recorded, so you know you can go back and watch the discussion that was had, listen to the way that person speaks, so that you can kind of pick up on that. You know, and like I said, just being resourceful. Like I do join their groups or follow them on social media so that I can hear their voice and yeah, I mean that when you first get a new client, it takes a little time to ramp up to get to know them and their goals and what their freebie is or their lead magnet. And but then once you get it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I know how to write for her now. And the following ads, you know, because there's usually like for the cold audience and then the warm audience and then the close and the, you know, there's different phases of writing ads. And so as the ad requests come in, it's faster for me to crank those out. Although sometimes you do go like, I don't know, I'm out of fresh ideas here, guys, help me out.
We're really lucky in that each client also is assigned an ads manager. So we're starting to develop relationships with them as well in terms of what's working, and they'll often say, oh, you know, introduce this pain point to this ad, and within that they're just starting to implement some processes to be able to give us feedback. So what the metrics are, how we're doing, what we can improve on, which is fantastic, really, because it's just going to make us stronger writers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that one of the things that surprises some copywriters when they do agency work is that you don't actually often get to personally talk to the client. Usually it'll be the account manager, or the account rep, usually also maybe the creative director, but it's often the people who are actually executing on the work. for better or for worse, no judgment on how the system has pretty much always been, the actual people executing the work don't get the chance to talk to the client directly. So you guys are, it's so important to have a really good ad manager that you can collaborate with, and you can say, hey, I have this question, can you find out, or this suggestion. And I love that they record the meetings. That's definitely, I don't think I've worked for an agency where they were smart enough to record the meetings, because usually it's someone scribbling down notes and that kind of thing. So that's fantastic. And also very smart of you guys to follow your clients and to get to know them from all the different angles and in any different way that you can. Yeah.
Well, and how cool to be able to collaborate with each other and have what you said, of those moments of freak out of like, oh, is it just me? Especially when you don't have that direct client relationship and can't ask, necessarily all the questions. They have to kind of go through someone. So to be able to go to Julie and be like, am I crazy? Is this, and then be like, oh no, we're on the same page. Okay, let's game plan. I think it's so nice for copywriters to hear that too. Because how many copywriters are at this agency now? So
there's Jen and I, and then the head copywriter, who's sort of, she seems to do it all. So she does a lot of the content for the agency itself, and then she's got her own clients. I think she's a bit of an ads manager as well. So she's got her own clients, and she's full on busy.
Yeah, I think she was like the jack of all trades, and then they finally realized like we've got to get reinforcements in here. So we've come in to take the copywriting load off of her plate.
But how awesome to, I think sometimes copywriters, that mindset of like, oh, we're competing against each other for jobs, and realizing, oh, no. Like, how cool is it to work with another copywriter?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've talked about what you are enjoying about this job, but as we know, anything that we're going to do, there are going to be great things, and there are going to be things that are challenges / opportunities. What are you finding to be challenging in this role? And again, nothing against this agency or nothing against, but just what are you finding to be challenging, or what are you finding to be opportunities where you are identifying places where you need to grow?
I think for me at the beginning, it was not having the feedback on the ads. So you'd write an ad, and it would just go off, and because you're not speaking to the client, you don't know what's working. But we're having meetings every 2 weeks with the content team. And as I said before, they're starting to input these processes to give us the feedback. So that for me was sort of the challenge. Of course, the onboarding, taking everything in at once, and that's when Jen and I really kind of connected, didn't we? We really like this form, and so yeah, that's what I would say. But yeah, it's great that they're working towards improving that.
That makes a lot of sense. And did you request getting the feedback, or did they kind of figure it out on their own?
I think it's just what happened organically. So in these content meetings, they would ask us if we knew how they were doing, and we would say, well, no, we don't know. So they thought, okay, yeah, we need to.
We should probably tell you.
When I was in my interview, I don't know if Jen was the same, but they said if an ad wasn't performing, so if it wasn't getting I think it was 3% click-through rate, or link click-through rate, then they would let us know, and then we'd have to tweak it. So they're kind of always been looking at the metrics, but just hadn't been feeding back to us.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, it's metrics. I think metrics scare a lot of copywriters who haven't had the opportunity to work with them, but they're so valuable when you can say, all right, I have this ad and this ad, and they're both great ads, well written, but you can't possibly know which one is actually going to get the audience to take more action. And, we say 1%, 2%, 3%, and it sounds like, well, 1%, but that actually is a huge amount of people and can have a major impact on a campaign. So I want to make sure that people who aren't as familiar with Facebook ads understand what that actually means. But yeah, I love that they're giving you the actual metrics so you can know how to work with that.
That's what I didn't want to get into Facebook ads actually when I first started copywriting. I don't know if you did, Jen, but I was just like, it's just too much to get my head around, and what you can and can't say in an ad, and the metrics, and then here we are.
Well, it's like with anything else, right? There's a learning curve. Okay, well, yes. And as you were saying, the Facebook especially has very stringent rules about what can be said, how it can be said, what kinds of ads can go up, and all that kind of thing. But you learn them, you master it, and then you get to play within their parameters.
Good for you for pursuing it despite not thinking that you wanted to get into it. I think that's awesome.
I think when you first start off, when I first started off, I was just ready for whatever opportunity. So although it wasn't, on my radar, and I thought, no, but that was one of the, not this agency, but I do some retainer work for another client, and that is Facebook ads as well. So it happened organically. Yeah.
So you're basically now a Facebook ads master.
Apparently.
That's terrific.
Jen, did you have the similar pain points, or were yours different?
Yeah. The challenge, similar challenges. And I think, not being able to connect directly with the client was a struggle for me, because I had always, it had been the Jen Bree show, and I could do it the way I asked things I want to do. And so that took some reworking and some, being resourceful to figure out how to get all the information I wanted in the shortest amount of time, and to do it well. And then not hearing feedback, initially, like we'd sent off those ads and we'd type it back to each other like, well, I sent it and I didn't hear anything. I heard nothing. And so your mind goes in all kinds of directions. But then luckily they started instituting regular meetings, and then they realized, like, we really wanted to know which ones performed better. And for a while, like, the only way I could tell was, like, I would actually run across my own ads on Facebook, and I was like, oh, well, that one keeps coming up, so that must have been the winner,
Oh, this ad is so well written. Oh,
screenshotting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, screenshot that, get that in a portfolio. How cool to see it live too, because that doesn't always happen, I love that.
So I know you guys are both working with multiple clients. How are you managing your schedules? What's worked? What hasn't worked quite as well? How's that working out for you?
Time blocking is definitely the trickiest bit. When I first got hired, like my Breeze clients were I didn't have as many, and so I was just grateful for anything they threw my way. But as I'm building up my personal client list, then all of a sudden, like, oh, we need another ad for this business, and this client needs another set for her close phase, and I start to think, like, oh no. So I have this I have a whiteboard over here, and I can just show you it. So, like, any of my agency clients I list here, and then my clients here, and I have due dates and things like that, so that I can kind of, because when it's all in my head, I start to panic. But when I put it down and realize, like, okay, I have 3 more days till those are due, so I can just start on this thing, like it helps me to visually see what's coming up due first, and thinking about, how many hours each project is going to require from me, and just time blocking, because I also am a homeschool mom. So, like, I try to devote mornings to my kids, and then afternoons and after bedtime for my writing clients. And that's probably currently my biggest challenge, is just juggling time and life, and then the unexpected things that come along, like a flood in your basement, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Similar. It's just I'm writing everything down. I'm a paper-based diary kind of girl, and because I need to see it. The agency typically gives us about 3 days, so we do have a bit of leeway, which helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're balancing full-time work though, right, Julie? So how do you divide those hours?
Yeah, no, so I'm part-time, luckily.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then I've got 2 boys as well. So
you're full-time now. You're full-time.
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes. Just trying to just have dedicated days, because I was flipping back and forth between my uni work and copywriting, and that my head was a spin all the time. So Mondays I'm got my university computer, I'm doing my research, because I'm still working from home with the pandemic. So yeah, just being really disciplined now with my time and allocating certain days and writing everything down, because like Jen said, when it's in your head, it's just so much more chaotic, isn't it? And then you can actually see it, and this is due here and this is due here. So I'm getting there.
It's a process, absolutely. And I don't know if anybody actually ever masters it. But I do want to commend, isn't quite the right word, but I'm impressed with you both that you're both keeping it written down, because I think for a lot of people, the instinct is to keep things in our heads and to go, all right, well, I'm a professional, so I can manage it all in my head and and when you have, for me, if I have more than one deadline, and even one deadline, sometimes it just flies away from my brain. But when you have more than one and multiple projects in multiple places, and it can get a little chaotic if you're trying to keep it all in your memory and balance it that way. So I think that's fantastic that you guys are both writing it down. You've got your systems there and systems that you created. I think that's terrific.
I think one of the best things I did was to buy a new notebook, and I love buying notebooks anyway, so it didn't need much of an excuse.
We're writers. Yeah.
True. But often at the end of the day, I just write down everything that's in my head. So wins, what I did to move my business forward, especially when I had a university day, like a research day, and I feel like I haven't done anything copywriting, I haven't moved myself forward, but there's always something, little thing, it doesn't have to be big, and also lessons learned. So at the beginning I thought, oh, I would have replied to this email differently, or I would have pitched this differently, but rather than view things like, oh, I've messed up, I would just say, well, actually next time, write the email, walk away, come back, just little things like that, and that just helped just streamline everything for me. Really,
I love
really good
that.
idea.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
how cool to look back if you're to think, oh, I haven't done it, and to be like, oh no, I did, and here's my wins, and here's this other, like, okay, I've actually done a lot.
Yeah, because you don't realize, and at the beginning especially, it's so new, you're learning, you're trying to get your portfolio up, your website, apply for jobs, pitch, and it just you do make progress even when you think you're not.
Well, and fun too to look back on it like a year from now, 5 years from now, when it's second nature, everything that you're doing is just kind of to go back and see how far, really even 6 months from now, to go back and see how far you've come and how much bigger your comfort zones are and all of that kind of thing. That's terrific. Yeah.
I'm also curious to ask you both about time zones, because Julie, you're 5 hours, I believe, ahead of Jen. And how does that, because I think, and the reason I ask, I know that they're not an issue. I loved working in your time zone, Julie, frankly, and being ahead of my clients. But I think a lot of people get concerned that, if I'm not in the same area, or I'm not in the same, I'm not in the same time as my clients, that it's going to be hard, or they're not going to want to work with me, or it's going to be a challenge. So what does that look like for you?
For me, or
both, communicating together. Yeah.
You go, Jen.
I think it's just, we're in such an online business is a global business these days. Like there's no, everybody is just, they just know that there's time zones, and that there's, our agency has clients in Australia, and they have hired somebody in the UK, and the CEO lives in California, and I'm in Kentucky. And so we're just literally spread out across the globe, and they know that, and they also know that we're mothers. And so parenting takes priority, and they are cool with that. But yeah, the time zones have not really ever been an issue. You have time zone calculators, and so you just decide, like, okay, so this meeting's at 3:00 her time, which means whatever my time, and you figure it out. And I don't think it's ever been an issue. And they're pretty lenient. Like when I first got started, they organize everything in an Asana board. So we've had to learn Asana, and I remember Julie and I had to message each other a bunch of times about that, like, what happened to the tasks are gone. But so an ad is due on Monday, and so I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what time Monday? 5 o'clock their time, or 5 o'clock my time, or does it? And it has never mattered. Like, as long as I got it done on Monday, nobody's ever said a word. So like,
Ooh,
okay.
yeah, it's a great point. Cause also sometimes your Monday is somebody else's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah, and like for me, Kate, like you said, I quite like being ahead of not the game, but of everybody, because I feel like I've been given a bit of an extra time. Like, you know, so my Monday night is done before their Monday night, so I've got that extra little bit of leeway. But yeah, like Jen said, one of the reasons I wanted to get into copywriting was to help local businesses during the pandemic. That's not going so well because my two major clients are both in the States and I've got one in Portugal. So it's like, and I'm in Wales. But that is on the cards when I start pitching again. I'd like to go a little bit more local. But yeah, it works out, and I think everyone is just so accepting of it.
Cool though that your clients are all over. I think that's so neat.
I never envisioned that would be the case. So for my other retainer work, sometimes they've got a team of copywriters as well. So I'm quite fortunate to be able to work with their copywriters. And the team meetings are at 11 o'clock my time. So that is a little bit tricky. Sometimes I make it and sometimes I don't, and they're quite understanding. So they record the team meetings and I just catch it on the replay. So I mean, technology's fantastic now, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. As you guys are talking, I'm just thinking, God, the last time that I worked with an agency, it was the idea of doing I remember sitting down with those big phones on the desk, like the big flat black phones in the middle, and everybody's, this is Nicki. Okay. And who else do we have on the call? Okay. You know, it was such a pain.
Hear you. Lean closer to the phone.
Yeah. Okay. And flip to page 5. Does everybody, okay. Oh, nope. You're right. Yours is out of order. So what we're talking, oh God, yes. It's so much better now.
Yeah. And the biggest, for me, the weirdest thing about international clients is like one of my clients is Australian, and so their spelling is a little bit different. They'll use S's where we would use Z's and things like that. And so they'll be like, we need these in Australian and US spelling, and I'm like, okay. That's when I see Australian spelling, obviously I can change it to US, but flipping it the other way is a little bit trickier. You know, like it doesn't automatically come to my brain like, oh, in Australia they would spell it this way. So I need like Grammarly or something Australia version to help me.
And or keep a cheat sheet of common words. That's what I used to do when I would have a UK client, because there would be words we come back to again and again. There were the additional, adding the U, the S versus the Z, all that kind of stuff, and just little word differences. Yeah. So funny.
And expressions as well, you know, so we say certain things over here that wouldn't necessarily translate to, because I'm Canadian originally, so I'm just a muddle in my head of who says what in what country. But yeah, I've definitely been caught out by the whole ZS organizing thing.
Exactly. Yes. And to your point, the phrases, there have definitely been times where, and you do your best to try to keep it neutral or use phrases from that country, but there are definitely times when I've put something in copy and they go, what does that mean? And I go, oh, I've just thought I thought that's really only a US thing. On top of the fact that the US is so big, you have things that are just in the Northeast or just in the, it's a tricky process. But that's, I think, probably one of the great things about the world and marketing becoming more global as well, is that your clients are more understanding of it, right? It's not so much like, well, you didn't know this. It's no, well, okay. We have no idea what that means. So can we just switch that out? Yeah, it's.
I just had that last night. I got a Slack, like the client said she doesn't know what this means. And I was like, on it. And I fixed it real quick and everybody was happy. But it definitely happens.
Yeah. And that's the tricky thing, is you put your best foot forward and you're always cognizant of everything you write, but they're just some things that we assume everyone else says and they just don't. So if you were talking to someone who was interested in getting into copywriting, maybe also thinking about doing agency work but not quite sure, maybe interested in dipping their toe in, what kind of advice would you give to them? What would you tell them?
Oh, it was so much fun, I would just say. Well, you're never gonna know unless you try, are you? So first off, give it a go. But yeah, it's just opened up a whole new world for me. So to meet like amazing people, I mean, the amount of people I've met this past year, from graphic designers to other copywriters like yourselves, and it's businesses that you work with, you know, it's such a variety of opportunity. So yeah, I would say go for it. And also other copywriters are your friends. You touched on it earlier, Nicki, about competition amongst us, and I have never found that. So, well, yeah, 2 of my 3 main clients have come from referrals or other copywriters posting opportunities, and it was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much opportunity out there, so much more than any of us could possibly even begin to tap into. So why fight with each other? Why not just share? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, my advice to somebody that's thinking about working with an agency is just, I think one of the important things, aside from showing that you really know your stuff when it comes to copy, is to look at their culture and, you know, try to really research what they're about and what's important to them, and make sure that you're a culture fit. I have an interview with another agency that's looking for like part-time contract work today, and the reason I'm most interested in them is that we are, you know, we share common values, and I think it would be a really, you know, they would be projects I would be passionate and excited about. So, you know, if you can find an agency that focuses on things that are exciting to you, you're gonna love it. I think even if it's not, I don't know, it is really, really fun to work for an agency. You learn so much, you meet new people, you get to like get a peek into the business side, you know, the back end of a business that is just like amazing to see, you know, how they build their funnels and where they're investing their money and how they're building their teams. And half the time I'm writing an ad for a course that I'm like, I want to buy this course. This is awesome. Like
this copy is so good. I want to buy this course.
Well, and the quality of the people that they're working with is just really, I mean, these are some amazing women that have amazing offers. And so it's just really cool to even be associated with them. I don't know if they even know their copywriter's name, but it's okay. I'm enjoying it from my end. And I definitely love the collaboration and getting to know other copywriters, designers as managers, and getting a feel for the whole gamut of marketing stuff there is to know out there. Like, it just really has strengthened me and boosted my confidence. So it's been a blessing.
That's fantastic.
For both of you, what do you have, like, thoughts of where you want to take your businesses, or what's next, I guess?
So for me, so as you know, I've got a research contract, and one of the reasons which I really got into copywriting was because I'd submitted a big proposal for a big research bid, had an interview, been led to believe it was going to be funded, and then they pulled the funding. So I thought, I don't want to be at someone else's mercy. I want to take control of my life. So copywriting, and I was just about, I've started to earn more in copywriting than I have in my university job with, you know, less hours. And then they've come back. And so I was just about to quit my uni job, and then they've come back and said, here's the funding. So I've got 2 years of doing that. And then I'm going to try to take this a bit bigger and a bit wider. Yeah. So it's, cool. That's my plan.
That's terrific.
How cool to have so many options, though. Like, of course, the universe is just like,
just teasing me, just not yet.
Yeah.
But that's why the agency's work is brilliant, because I can keep my skills up without having to pitch, and, you know, it's just ticking over.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It's me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, like I I'm about to make a $10,000 month, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm so like floored by that. Like that's been like a pie in the sky goal, since the beginning. And like, is that even really possible? And oh my gosh, I think I'm going to get it. I'm so,
don't stress if you don't, because if you're close, like that's also freaking awesome.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. If that one thing falls through and it's only 8, like I'm still totally slaying
only
it.
8.
Yeah.
So things are going really well, but I am very busy, and I have a business coach, and she's like, Jen, you're like a breath away from an agency. You could start an agency. And I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to be a boss of people and stuff, but I have to look at that because I don't know if I'm just afraid of failure, like what's really holding me back from that. So, anything's possible. I do want to make a course like for people that can't afford me to do their website for them. I would love to be able to say, well, you can do your own website, just buy this course and away you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll upsell you a one-on-one review of it or something, so I have some thoughts on how to expand and grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just no matter of finding the time to make that all happen, because I also have the little kids that I have chosen to homeschool. So
it's always the time.
Yeah. But it's okay. Like I'm moving forward, and I know that a year from now, I'll be looking back and being like, wow, this is it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome to know you can do it, whether you want to keep hitting 10K months, or if there's a month where you don't want to, but you're like, I know I can if I if I want to wrap it up or not. Like just knowing that, I feel like it's such a freedom.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And how many hours? What's your average? How many hours are you working? Just out of curiosity.
Probably 20 or 30, depending. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. 20 or 30 hours and to hit a $10,000 month.
Yeah.
That's,
come on.
Yeah. My hair is getting messed up just talking about it. I'm like losing my composure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Get the champagne, put champagne in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
for sure.
Awesome. Now, before I forget, if someone's listening to this podcast and they're like, oh, these women are amazing, I want to hire one or both of them. How can people find you? What are your websites? Where will we find you on the web?
So my company is called JP Copywriting .co.uk, or I'm getting better at social media. So LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me at the moment, but with the 2 jobs and everything else, it's kind of taken a back seat. So it's written down on my paper-based list to crack on with some social media. So jpcopywriting.co.uk is me.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. And Jen, how about you?
My website is breezecopywriting.com, and I have the Facebook page, Breeze Copywriting, and I'm on LinkedIn also. Just look up Jennifer Breeze and look for my curly hair. And I don't think there's too many Jennifer Breezes on there, but I haven't searched that, so you never know. But yeah, I'm those are the main places to find me.
Super. Well, ladies, this was a lot of fun. I know that you have provided a ton of insight. I know that the listeners and viewers are going to love it. So thank you so much for taking some time out of your very busy days to sit down with us and share. I know Kate and I really appreciate it. And I know that the whole community is going to appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. It was awesome.
Sure.
Yes. Love talking to you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, right back at you. So we will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't miss any tips, tools, or tactics for copywriters by clicking subscribe right now. And of course, you can always find us over at filthyricwriter.com. We'll see you next time.